keep on striving to learn about your culture. And that's something I'm doing actively. You know, I don't know everything about Native American culture. I am learning as much as I can about myself. And I think that's a step that everyone can take.
Eli's in the building.
Yo, what's up?
What's up? How you doing?
Hanging out, man. Same old story, just getting settled in Dallas.
So, Eli, first let me ask, what was it like growing up as a minority in Canada?
Both sides of my family actually come from minority backgrounds. My mother was, she was Native American and Caucasian. And then obviously my dad immigrated in from West Africa, Togo. And, he had to kind of make his way, kind of figure life out as he arrived to Canada. So I guess growing up, one lesson that my dad kind of always taught me, and it's just something that stuck with me, the reality of the world we live in right now, you as a colored person are going to have to work extremely hard for what you want. You're going to have to work twice as hard as the next man. You're going to have to, do everything extra, take these extra steps. And it's a way that I've always kind of approached things, whether it's in football or school, it's kind of molded me as a person, having to do that extra little bit.
Just doing a little bit more. I hear you on that. Do you feel like it's important for professional athletes to use their platform, no matter how big or small it is, to use it to say something of importance?
Sports is deeply rooted in American culture, right? And now we're trying to address Americans or Canadians, whoever. And I guess the one way you can do that, no matter how big or how small of a widely known athlete you are, even if you affect one mind, that can have such an effect in the future for so many other people. That one person can be inspired to do something. Athletes or whoever is in the public eye should definitely use their platform to address whatever issues they find important.
Do you ever feel like it's unfortunate that you have to assess how people look at you, so then you have to act a certain type of way?
It's always been like that. It's always been keep a smile on, keep a little bit of a higher voice, especially if it's, someone you're not sure.
And your voice is naturally deep.
So I have to try and make myself seem as non-imposing as possible. And that's been the case since, I was little. And that's with adults or whoever it may be. I have to express to whoever I'm talking to that I mean no harm, that I'm just an innocent passerby, that I don't want any trouble. It's one of those things. It's just a part of my life that just always has been, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It's almost like the unwritten rules.
Actually, my brother, who's a member of law enforcement, kind of gave me tools to kind of express myself in a more or less imposing way. Right. When you get pulled over, hands on the steering wheel, yes, sir, no, sir. Absolutely. And do not make any sudden movements.
I remember being in my 8th year, and the police officers from Detroit, they come in like they do every year. They came in and they said, all right, guys, listen, if you get pulled over, if you can, 10 and 2. If you have time, put your headlight on, and then put your wallet on top of the dashboard. And how it was explained to me was, it's not about how you feel in the moment. It's about trying to, in so many ways, disarm that officer who could also be dealing with his own shit, could also be dealing with the fear of, what's going on, could also be dealing with the tension that we feel in the air between authorities and people of color. If you follow those steps, hopefully, not saying it's 100% guaranteed, but hopefully that officer will approach you and not be as ready to be aggressive.
Agreed.
Missing and murdered Indigenous women is something that you're very passionate about. So one, I want to ask, when did this come on your radar?
Growing up, we've always been so connected with our Native American roots. My mother made it a point to make sure that we were extremely connected with that part of ourselves. And it prompted us eventually to start the Dreamcatcher Foundation, which was our nonprofit, which, at first it was simply just to bring sports to Native American reservations or underserved communities. And, that was the focus. But eventually, the people helping us out, athletes and causes, kind of brought up another point. There's this other part, of your culture that's kind of being ignored. And, us being us, we're like, okay, so tell us more about it. And, we're bringing in this conversation about missing and murdered Indigenous women. And I think when I heard about it, it was heartbreaking, because we're so focused on all these different things in the world. And there's this small pocket of people who are being absolutely ignored. And, this is at the end of the day, when I saw it, I was like, this is my mother, this is my sister, this is literally anyone who I could consider family, who are simply being plucked away from society, plucked away from life. Why are we being forgotten about? What is going on? It comes down to taking that first step, taking that first little step towards, what can I do?
Creating awareness.
Absolutely.
Creating, no doubt about it. Now, you talked about creating awareness. Here we want to try to create, steps. So for those that might want to do what they can for the missing and murdered Indigenous women, what would you tell them? Like, what advice would you give them?
Everyone has a different experience in life. And so I couldn't necessarily address certain people's situation, with the same lens that I see life as.
No doubt.
But for generations, we've been dealing with hardship.
Yeah.
And this goes for many other cultures. But, since we're talking about this, we've been dealing with hardships. We've gone through mass extinction. We've gone through absolute genocides. People have been sent to reform schools, to literally delete their history, their culture. We're talking about the late 1800s, when the reform schools were made, and little Native American boys and girls were being sent to school to literally be taught to forget about their culture. And it was beat into them. It was horrible. Now, compared to today, I would tell the little boys and girls who still want to feel connected with themselves and their history, to not let go of that part of themselves. Keep on pushing, keep on striving to learn about yourself, keep on striving to learn about your culture. And that's something I'm doing actively. I don't know everything about Native American culture. I am learning as much as I can about myself. And I think that's a step that everyone can take.
No doubt about it, man. Just listening to you talk, you have a bright future. Eli, I appreciate you joining me. This was informative. And listen, man, this is a family. At Uninterrupted, we say that we're more than athletes, but once we connect, we're family forever. So
I appreciate it, brother. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah, no problem, man. Have a good one. All right.
All right, you too.